जननीं शारदा देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयो श्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः. Today I would like to speak about Holy Mother as purity incarnate. Whenever we see the photo of Holy Mother, we are immediately struck by that extraordinary purity that is reflecting in her face, and of course her motherly love and compassion too. The more and more we think about her and meditate about her, the more and more we feel purer. And Swami Abhedanandaji, one of Sri Ramakrishna's direct disciples, he wrote a hymn on Holy Mother, Prakritim Parama, which we daily chant in our Aratrikam. In that hymn he writes, Pavitram Charitam Yasya, Pavitram Jivanam Tatha, Pavitrata Swarupinyai Tasyai Kurmo Namo Namaha. I salute to that mother whose life and character are absolutely pure and who is purity manifested itself. So when Swami Abhedananda wrote this hymn, Holy Mother was still living and he wanted her to hear that poem. And then he actually went to Holy Mother and he told her about this. She was at first astonished that a hymn was written on her. Then when he started chanting that hymn in front of her, she was transported to a divine mood. When he uttered the words Ramakrishna Gata Pranam, one whose life is centered in Sri Ramakrishna, then at that time Holy Mother was in a superconscious state, and when he uttered Tannama Shravana Priya, one who rejoices in hearing his name, repeating his name, then tears were flowing from her eyes. When he said Tadbhava Ranjita Karam, one whose form is glowing with his attitude, manifesting his attitude. And when he looked at her, there was no more Holy Mother there. He could actually see Sri Ramakrishna in that place, and he immediately saluted to her. And afterwards, she blessed him, saying, "May Goddess Saraswati dwell in your tongue." And Swami Abhedanandaji has recorded this incident in his memoirs on Holy Mother. When we say about purity of body, mind and speech, that is, in other words, Brahmacharya, what we call as Brahmacharya. And in fact, this quality is the basic quality in spiritual life, not only in Hinduism, in all other scriptures also. Even in Bible we read, "Blessed are the pure, for they shall see God." And this is the common quality we find in all the holy personalities. When we think of Sri Ramakrishna, we know he was so pure that he could not bear the presence or the touch of an impure person, and he could not even eat the food defiled or contaminated by an impure person. And Holy Mother once sent some food to Sri Ramakrishna, his food, through such a lady whose character was not good. Sri Ramakrishna forbids her. He could not accept the food on that day. But when we think of Holy Mother, she was able to accept everyone, purity or impurity, whatever they had. Then we may get the doubt whether Holy Mother was more lenient in matters of purity, lenient than Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Sharda Devi was in no way less in the matter of purity when we compare to Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna himself bears testimony regarding this extraordinary purity of Holy Mother, when she came first time to Dakshineshwar to meet Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna had great doubts and was apprehensive about her, and he even prayed to Mother Kali to make her mind absolutely pure so that she may not be the cause of any obstacle in his spiritual life. And when actually Sharda Devi came, he even asked her, he told her, you see, I see Divine Mother among all women, Mother Kali only in all women. So towards you also I have this same feeling. But if you want to lead a worldly life, since I am married to you, I am ready to oblige you. Do you want to drag me into this worldly life? Sri Ramakrishna took the responsibility, that he owned the responsibility because he was her husband. He gave this option to her. But Holy Mother dispelled all his fears and apprehensions by strongly telling, no, she wouldn't create any obstacle in his spiritual life. On the other hand, she would like to support him and help him, being his Sahadharma Charini only. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna also tested Holy Mother's purity when Sharda Devi came to Dakshineshwar, and both of them were staying in the same room. And afterwards, he says, if she were not so pure, who knows whether I could have maintained my purity or not. Of course, we all know Sri Ramakrishna's extraordinary purity and his childlike nature, but this way he only gives the greatest tribute to Holy Mother when he says, in purity she has surpassed him also. So that is a wonderful tribute he pays to her. When we read Ramayana, we are reminded of Sita Devi, who had to pass through that fire ordeal, Agni Pariksha, because she had to stay in Ravana's kingdom. And even when she had passed the test, later she was sent to the forest. Sri Ramachandra had to send her to forest because the people were so critical and talked so many things. In spite of this, Sita Devi never complained about Sri Rama, and in the end we see she was unable to bear so much, and Mother Earth herself took her into her lap, it is said. And after Sri Ramakrishna attained Mahasamadhi, Holy Mother lived among the worldly people, and people thought she was very much attached to these people. And even great spiritual aspirants, sadhika like Yoginma, had misunderstood Holy Mother at one time and thought Sri Ramakrishna was never like this. Holy Mother is living amongst worldly people and she is so attached to Radhu. And that particular day, when she was meditating on the banks of Ganga, she saw in a vision, Sri Ramakrishna showed her in a vision, the dead body of a baby floating on Ganga. And pointing to that, Sri Ramakrishna says, do you think the Ganga is polluted because of that? No, Holy Mother also to be like that. Don't judge her in another way. She is absolutely pure. Then only Yoginma realized that Holy Mother was also extraordinary person and she was completely detached, though she lived among the worldly people. Now Ganga is the most sacred river in our country, and daily lakhs and lakhs of people go and visit Ganga, take bath in that, and they shed their impurity. Sri Ramakrishna's comparing Sharda Devi to Ganga is very apt, in the sense Sharda Devi was not merely pure herself, but she could remove the impurity in others. She could impart her purity to others also. There is a saying, Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani. That is, holy people, when they go to great holy places like pilgrimages, or they go to the rivers, holy rivers, they contribute their purity there. Ordinary people, we go to holy places or take bath and rivers, and we are getting rid of our impurity. But Holy Mother's case, it is not like that. She is contributing her purity to that place. Now, what about the way the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna thought about Holy Mother? When we hear that Raja Maharaj, he was so conscious of Holy Mother's purity that he would become so full of emotions and he could not stand more for a longer time in her presence. He would quickly become emotional and go away from that place. And Swami Vivekananda, once Swamiji and Swami Turiyananda, they were crossing the Ganga river in a boat. They wanted to meet Holy Mother, and that day Swamiji had high fever, it seems. And Turiyanandaji was surprised to see Swamiji was again and again taking this Ganga water in hand, sprinkling on his head and drinking water. Then Turiyanandaji asked, "What is this? Why you are doing like this? You are already having fever. Your fever may aggravate by doing this. After all, the Ganga is muddy and not at all clean." Then Swamiji replied, "Don't you know to whose presence we are going? We are going to meet Holy Mother, who is Pavitrata Swarupini. Who knows, any impure thought may be lingering in my mind and which may harm her." Just think of Swamiji's words. Swamiji is absolutely pure. He belonged to that Saptarshi Mandala. He is one of the Saptarshis we know. In spite of this, Swamiji is uttering these words means we can just imagine in what high regard they held Holy Mother in their mind. What was their idea or the estimate of Holy Mother's purity? Now, not only Holy Mother removed the impurity, she was pure herself, she removed the impurity, and she was guru of many disciples, and she had to accept their sins also. Sri Ramakrishna, we know, he used to discriminate between holy and unholy, pure and impure, and select his disciples. And of course, there are exceptions like Girish Chandra Ghosh, Kalipad, and but those exceptions are rare and far in between. But how Holy Mother accepted all, irrespective of their purity or impurity, is something extraordinary, we should say. Now, there are some devotees to come into the presence of Holy Mother when they had some immoral background. And then Holy Mother would reply, "Please don't mind, did Sri Ramakrishna come to this earth just to eat rasagullas? We are born for this only. You just go and take bath in Ganga and offer the results of all your good and bad karmas to the Lord, then you will become pure." And at another time, Holy Mother says, "If my child plays in the mud and makes itself dirty, being the mother, is it not my duty to clean it and take on my lap?" So we can also add, an ordinary mother cleans the physical impurity of her child, whereas Holy Mother did not merely clean us physically, but she removed even the mental impurities of the devotees and made us pure also. And Holy Mother accepted many disciples and she gives mantra diksha also. Because of this, she had to suffer many times by accepting the sins of the disciples. She used to say, it is not easy to give diksha to others. The Guru has to accept the sins of the disciples and suffer for that. If the disciple is good and pure, then the Guru is benefited. Otherwise, the Guru has to suffer. She used to say, sometimes when such good people come and make her pranams, she used to feel so soothing and comforting in that experience. But whereas when others with impure nature come and touch her feet, she would feel burning sensation in her feet, and she would wash her feet repeatedly with Ganga to clean that impurity. In spite of all this, ignoring her health, she used to give Diksha to the disciples out of extreme compassion. And she would also tell others, don't tell Sharath about all this, then he may stop coming of all these disciples. Once Raja Maharaj had sent some disciples to get Diksha from Holy Mother. From distance, when Holy Mother she could immediately read their immoral past and the very wicked, all the wicked things they had committed in their previous life. Then Holy Mother uttered in a soft tone, when a son is in a distant place, far off place, what nice things he will select and send as presentation to his mother. See what my Raja Maharaj has sent to me as presentation. He has sent this trash to me. And then in the beginning, she did not wish to initiate those disciples, but when they repeatedly wept and begged and so much they started crying, at last she accepts. Then she says, after all, this body will fall one day or the other. Let this body fall now itself and let these people be liberated. And when these devotees returned back to Raja Maharaj and Premanandaji were sitting in the Belur Math, and when this incident was reported to them, they were stunned and kept silent for a long time. Then Premanandaji said, grace, grace. And he said, what a poison we sent to her. We can't even imagine. If we had taken that poison, we would have been burnt into ashes. But Mother has that infinite power, infinite purity, and she accepts all. And she is able to accept all. Like that, he remarks. There are some devotees, they are so obsessed by this idea of purity. We can say they have purity phobia or purity mania. One such lady came to Holy Mother one winter evening and said she had touched something very impure and now immediately she has to take bath, but she is unable to do it and so she is feeling wretched. Then Holy Mother says, you need not take bath, you just wash your hands and feet, that will be enough. But the lady was not at all satisfied. Then Holy Mother said, all right, then go and sprinkle a little of Ganges water on you, that will make you pure. Still that lady was not at all feeling all right. Then Holy Mother said, then you just touch me. By this remark, we feel Holy Mother, how she was fully conscious of her purifying effect on others, which was even greater than the power of Ganga. Even more than Ganga, she can purify others. And another time, a devotee complained, Mother, I am unable to control the impure thoughts that are crossing in my mind. What should I do? Then Holy Mother says, whenever impure thoughts cross your mind, you just think of me and you will become all right. Because when we think about Holy Mother, what happens? We think her as our own mother and we are just like small children. Then naturally there cannot be any impure feeling in front of our own mother. Sometimes some people who are fallen or they have low profile in society, characterless people, even the actresses in those days, they all used to come to Holy Mother and everyone has shelter in her lap. Swami Abhedanandaji says in the same hymn also says in another stanza, Snehena Badnasi Manos Madiyam, means you bind by your love all of us. Doshana Sheshan Saguni Karoshi, and you transform even vice into virtue. Ahetu Nano Dayasesa Dosham Swanke Grihitva Yadidam Vichitram. This is really strange that you take every one of us without any reason. Ahetu means without any reason at all. You take all of us in your compassionate lap. A pure and innocent child cannot distinguish between holy and unholy, pure and impure. So great people, the holy people, they are childlike in nature. So they don't distinguish or discriminate between holy and unholy. Even when they see unholy or impure things, then they don't look with contempt or hatred in that way. With great compassion and kindness, they forgive and they take them also into their shelter. Even in Bible, we come across a story where a fallen woman, people were punishing her by stoning her. Then they asked Jesus about his opinion. Then he says, anyone amongst you who has never committed adultery, this sort of mistake, may throw your first stone on her. And hearing these words of Jesus, they felt ashamed and they just left that spot. So that is the way we find how holy people look upon even the sinful people. And this purity is how they look on all with same eye. That is, they have their attention on Atman behind the external covering. Whether one is good or bad, pure or impure in the outside, within everyone the same Atman resides. So looking into that Atman, they are able to forgive everyone and look everyone as the same. They don't care for that. We are also reminded of a story in Swami Vivekananda's life here. When Swamiji had visited the Khetri Raja's kingdom in his palace, one day there was to be a music recital, and Swamiji was invited to attend that music recital. But he did not want to attend because he thought it is not befitting for a monk to attend such recitals sung by some singer, some ladies like that. And while he was sitting in his tent, he could hear the song sung by that lady. That lady was actually a devoted lady, so she sings a Surdas song, which means Prabhu mere avaguna chitana dharo, means, O Lord, look not into my faults. Samadarshi he tere nam, because it is your nature to be Samadarshi, that is equal visioned. Whether I am good or bad, that doesn't matter. Maybe we are having so many faults, but you are Samadarshi. So look not into my faults, because chahe to par karo, you can save me if you wish. Then Surdas gives a comparison. Suppose there is a sword made of base metal, which hunter, he kills the animal with that. A butcher cuts with that. But there is another golden knife or something in a temple. But when both these base metal or the costly metal, when they touch that philosopher's stone, we say sparshaloha, both become converted into gold. Just like that, whether a person is holy or unholy, when you come into contact with a highly spiritual person like Holy Mother, automatically you also become pure. The another comparison is given, the water in a river and there is water in the drainage water. When both these come into contact with the river Ganga, the holy river, both become pure. And Surdas tells, this is Jiva who is imperfect and this is Brahman who is ever perfect. This distinction is made by ignorant people. For the people who are gnanis, they don't have any distinction between good and bad, holy or unholy. That is the reason Surdas prays, O Lord, look not into my faults, like that. And then some tips how we can develop purity in our life. She says, prayer is the best method. She herself prayed. Just think, Holy Mother is absolutely pure, but still she prays. When she sees the moon, she says, may my mind become as pure as the moon. And even in the moon there are blemishes, and may my mind will be utterly flawless without any faults. So by praying to the Lord, we can attain to purity. She also suggests another method, that is by thinking of the faults of other, searching for the faults of other, we make our mind more and more impure. So when you don't look into the faults of other, you remain pure. So this is the way Holy Mother gives us some suggestion. Now I would put a question here. I felt like asking, which is better? Whether to discriminate between the holy and unholy, reject the unholy, or whether to not to discriminate at all, look everyone as the same. Now when we think of Sri Ramakrishna's life, we know he discriminated, he couldn't bear the touch of impure and all, but that was in the sadhaka stage, of course. When he is in the stage of highest samadhi, then he would not discriminate between the holy and the unholy. But in the lower stages, he is discriminating, this is pure, this is impure. Whereas in case of Holy Mother, we see she does not discriminate between holy and unholy. She is accepting everyone. Now which is better, which is greater? For this I would say, Sri Ramakrishna is presenting us the sadhaka stage. As long as we are in the stage of a spiritual aspirant, we have to protect ourselves from all impurities. We must take all care that our body, mind and everything is perfectly pure. He said we have to put hedge when the tree is sapling, but when it grows into a big tree, you need not take that care. In the same time, in the same way, we know even Sri Ramakrishna, when in the beginning he came to Dakshineshwar Kali temple, he would not even eat the food that is offered in the Kali temple. He used to cook for himself. But later it all changed. He used to accept the prasad. So in the last days, he used to accept food from anyone and everyone. So that shows in the highest stage, one does not discriminate between the holy and unholy. Sri Ramakrishna represents to us or shows us the path, the sadhaka's way. But whereas Holy Mother represents the perfected stage, when she has gone beyond holy and unholy, when beyond the sacred and secular, and she is established in that state. As in the Gita we read, Shunichaiva Swapakesha Pandita Samadarshinaha. So that is the highest stage. Holy Mother always, constantly she lived in that stage, where that is the reason she could go beyond this idea. So I pray to Holy Mother, may she grant us at least a little bit of that perfect purity in her, and may we be able to grasp that extraordinary purity in her and become blessed in our life. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hare Om Tat Sat.